A strong opening hook is the backbone of any engaging dating show segment. If the first 30 to 60 seconds fail to capture attention, the audience mentally checks out, even if the rest of the content is excellent. In formats inspired by shows like The Steve Harvey Show, the opening is designed to immediately create curiosity, energy, and emotional investment. The purpose of a hook is simple: make the audience care instantly. This can be done by combining three elements: energy, intrigue, and relatability. The host should enter with high enthusiasm and a clear sense that something exciting is about to happen. Tone matters a lot here. A flat or slow introduction kills momentum, while a lively, confident delivery builds anticipation. Next comes intrigue. Instead of revealing everything up front, the hook should tease the situation. For example, rather than saying, "We have a woman looking for a date," you frame it as a story. A woman who just got out of a long relationship, is done with dating apps, and is ready to find someone real, today, on stage. This creates a narrative tension. Will she find the right person? What kind of guys will show up? Relatability is the third key factor. The audience should see a bit of themselves in the situation. Mentioning common struggles, bad dates, ghosting, or frustration with apps like Bumble or Tinder immediately connects with viewers. When people feel this is so real, they become emotionally invested and more likely to keep watching. Another important technique is pacing. The opening should move quickly but not feel rushed. You want to deliver just enough information to set the stage without overwhelming the audience. A good structure is high-energy greeting, quick tease of the situation, introduction of the main participant, hint at what's coming next, questions, surprises, eliminations. Additionally, body language and delivery style play a huge role. The host should use expressive gestures, eye contact, and variation in tone to maintain attention. Even pauses can be powerful if used correctly. They build suspense before revealing something important. A strong hook also sets the emotional tone for the entire segment. If the opening is playful and humorous, the audience expects entertainment. If it leans slightly emotional, they prepare for meaningful moments. The best hooks balance both, light humor with a hint of real-life stakes. Finally, consistency matters. Every episode or segment should follow a recognizable opening pattern so the audience becomes familiar with the format, but still includes slight variations to keep it fresh. In short, a strong opening hook is not just an introduction. It's a strategic moment that determines whether your audience stays or leaves. Nail this part, and everything that follows becomes much more effective. A clear concept setup is what turns a random conversation into a structured, watchable show. In dating format content like a celebrity matchmaking segment, similar to shows such as The Steve Harvey Show, the concept setup is the moment where the audience understands exactly what is happening, why it is happening, and what the stakes are. Without this clarity, even good jokes or personalities feel scattered and confusing. The goal of the concept setup is to eliminate confusion within the first few minutes. Viewers should immediately understand the format. A bachelorette meets multiple bachelors, asks questions, and chooses one for a date. If there are twists, like swapping contestants or audience voting, those rules must also be explained early, so the audience can follow along without effort. A strong setup answers three core questions. 1. What is the show about? This is the basic premise. For example, a single woman is trying to find a match among 3 or more bachelors. It should be simple enough that someone watching for the first time understands instantly. 2. What is the process? This is the structure. In these formats, it usually includes introductions of contestants, Q&A rounds, commentary or interpretation by the host, elimination or final selection. This structure helps viewers mentally track progress and stay engaged. 3. What makes this episode different? This is where uniqueness comes in. Maybe there's a twist, where contestants can be swapped mid-show. Or maybe the host has special translation commentary explaining what men really mean. This uniqueness is what separates one episode from another and prevents repetition fatigue. In modern dating entertainment, clarity of concept is even more important because audiences are used to fast-paced digital content. If viewers on platforms like YouTube or short-form clips don't understand the premise within seconds, they scroll away. That's why the setup must be clean, direct, and visually reinforced through dialogue and reactions. Another key aspect is role definition. Everyone in the setup must have a clearly defined purpose. The host, Diener guide, plus entertainer, plus interpreter, the bachelorette. Decision maker, the bachelors. Competing personalities. When roles are unclear, the show feels chaotic. But when roles are clearly defined, even simple interactions feel structured and meaningful. Emotionally, the concept setup also establishes stakes. The audience should understand why this matters. It's not just people talking. It's about connection, rejection, and choosing a potential partner. Adding a personal angle, like the bachelorette's dating struggles or past relationship issues, increases emotional investment. Finally, a good concept setup builds anticipation. By the end of the introduction, viewers should be thinking, who will she pick? Who will stand out? What surprises will happen? If those questions naturally arise, the setup has done its job correctly. In short, the concept setup is the blueprint of the entire segment. It organizes chaos into structure, gives meaning to interactions, and ensures the audience stays oriented while enjoying the entertainment. A relatable backstory for the bachelorette is one of the most powerful storytelling tools in a dating show format. It transforms the segment from simple entertainment into something emotionally engaging, because the audience is no longer just watching a woman meet men. They are watching someone with history, emotions, and real-life struggles try to make a meaningful choice. In formats similar to celebrity matchmaking segments, like those seen in The Steve Harvey Show, the bachelorette's backstory is usually introduced early to establish emotional context. This is where the audience learns who she is, what she has been through, and why she is even on the stage in the first place. The most effective backstories are not overly complicated. They focus on one or two strong emotional points that most viewers can relate to. Common examples include a long-term breakup after several years, frustration with modern dating culture, exhaustion from dating apps like Tinder or Bumble, feeling overlooked or not approached in real life, difficulty finding genuine connection in a fast-paced world. These experiences resonate because they reflect modern dating reality. Even viewers who are not single can understand the emotional themes of rejection, confusion, or wanting something real. A strong backstory also works because it creates emotional stakes. Without it, the audience has no reason to care who the bachelorette chooses. But when viewers understand that she has been single for a long time or had a painful breakup, the decision suddenly matters. It becomes more than entertainment. It becomes a moment of hope or transformation. However, the key is balance. The backstory should be emotional but not heavy enough to slow the show down. If it becomes too long or overly dramatic, it breaks the pacing and reduces engagement. The ideal approach is a short, punchy introduction, usually 30 to 90 seconds, that blends seriousness with light humor. For example, instead of saying, "I have been emotionally damaged by relationships and cannot trust anyone anymore," a better version would be, "I just got out of a long relationship. I tried the dating apps, and now I think my thumb is more tired than my heart." This keeps it human, slightly funny, and easy to digest. Another important aspect is authenticity. The audience can quickly sense when a backstory feels fake or exaggerated. A believable tone, natural speech, and real emotional cues make the character more likable and trustworthy. The host also plays a key role here by reacting naturally, asking follow-up questions, joking lightly, or empathizing. The backstory also serves a strategic narrative function. It helps define what the bachelorette is looking for. Once the audience knows her past struggles, they better understand her preferences in a partner, whether she values honesty, humor, stability, or adventure. Finally, a relatable backstory acts as a bridge between comedy and emotion. Dating shows rely on both laughter and connection. The backstory gives emotional depth, while the interactions with bachelors provide humor and entertainment. Together, they create a balanced viewing experience. In short, the relatable backstory is what turns a contestant into a character and a show into a story. It builds empathy, increases engagement, and gives meaning to every decision that follows. Contestant introductions are one of the most important structural moments in any dating show because they set the tone for competition, personality contrast, and audience first impressions. In formats like celebrity matchmaking segments inspired by the Steve Harvey show, this section is designed to be fast, memorable, and visually engaging rather than overly detailed. The core idea is simple. The audience should understand who each contestant is within seconds. Attention spans are short, so long speeches or complicated biographies don't work well here. Instead, each bachelor should be introduced with a sharp mix of name, profession, and one unique personality trait. For example, name, job title, e.g., architect, psychologist, entrepreneur. One defining hook, e.g., plays piano, fitness obsessed, extremely optimistic. This structure creates instant mental categorization. The audience doesn't just see three random men. They see distinct types of people, which naturally leads to comparison and judgment, which is exactly what drives engagement in dating content. Another key element is contrast between contestants. If all three men sound similar, the segment becomes flat and forgettable. But when each contestant has a different personality archetype, such as the serious professional, the humorous creative, and the fitness-focused entrepreneur, the audience becomes more engaged because they start predicting compatibility. Quick introductions also rely heavily on delivery style. The tone, confidence, and body language of each contestant matter as much as the words they say. A confident introduction can make a contestant instantly more attractive, while hesitation or awkwardness can create humor or vulnerability that also adds entertainment value. Importantly, this segment is not just informational, it is psychological. First impressions are formed within seconds, and audiences subconsciously start ranking contestants based on confidence level, speech, clarity, humor, physical presence, energy. This is why introductions are often structured as mini performances rather than interviews. Each contestant is essentially trying to win attention before any questions even begin. Another important factor is memorability. Because multiple contestants appear back to back, the audience can easily forget names or details. Adding a distinctive trait helps anchor memory. For example, the architect who dances, or the psychologist from East Harlem, gives the audience a mental shortcut to recall who is who during later segments. Speed is also critical. If introductions drag on, momentum drops. The best pacing keeps things tight, usually 10-20 seconds per contestant, while still allowing personality to shine through. Additionally, subtle humor, or host commentary, can enhance introductions. A quick reaction, joke, or playful comparison helps reinforce personality traits and keeps the energy high without interrupting flow. Finally, contestant introductions serve a strategic narrative purpose. They establish the pool of choices for the bachelorette. The audience should immediately begin thinking, who seems most compatible? Who stands out? Who might cause drama or surprise? If this curiosity is successfully triggered, the segment has achieved its goal. In short, quick and impactful contestant introductions are about clarity, contrast, and charisma. They turn strangers into characters, set up competition instantly, and keep the audience emotionally and mentally engaged from the very first moment. Smart and real questions are the engine of any successful dating show segment because they drive personality reveal, emotional tension, humor, and decision-making. In formats similar to celebrity matchmaking shows like The Steve Harvey Show, the questioning round is where contestants stop being introductions and start becoming options. The purpose of these questions is not just to collect information, it is to reveal character under pressure. Anyone can say, "I'm honest," or "I'm funny" during an introduction. But well-designed questions force people to demonstrate those traits through their answers. A strong question set usually blends three categories. 1. Personality and values. Questions. These are the foundation of compatibility. They reveal what a person actually stands for in relationships and life. Examples include, what do you look for in a partner besides physical attraction? What does a healthy relationship mean to you? What is your biggest relationship deal breaker? These questions matter because they uncover long-term alignment. For example, someone who values independence may not match well with someone who wants constant closeness. This is where real compatibility is tested. 2. Emotional depth. Questions. These questions add seriousness and authenticity to the segment. They move beyond surface-level answers and reveal emotional intelligence. For example, what is something you have learned from past relationships? What is your biggest fear in dating? What do you want out of a relationship at this stage of your life? These answers help the audience emotionally connect with contestants. They also give the bachelorette deeper insight into who is genuinely self-aware versus who is just performing. 3. Fun. Pressure questions. This category keeps the energy high and prevents the segment from becoming too heavy. It includes playful or slightly unexpected questions, such as, what is your most attractive quality? What would your friends say is your biggest flaw? If your life had a motto, what would it be? These questions often produce humor, spontaneity, and surprising honesty. They also reveal how someone reacts under light pressure, which is important in dating dynamics. Why smart questions matter. Good questions act like filters. They separate confident versus insecure contestants, honest and non versus performative answers, emotionally aware versus shallow thinkers. In real time, the audience is also judging. They are not just listening to answers. They are analyzing tone, confidence, and authenticity. This is why weak or generic questions make the segment boring, while sharp questions make it engaging. Another important factor is host interpretation. In many successful formats, the host does not just ask questions, they also translate or react to answers. This adds entertainment value and helps the audience understand hidden meanings or subtext in responses. For example, a simple answer like, "I like honesty," can be followed by host commentary that adds humor or insight. This layered communication keeps the segment dynamic. Smart questions also help build narrative tension. As answers unfold, viewers start forming opinions. This guy seems serious. That one is too vague. She might like him more. This psychological engagement is what keeps people watching. Finally, real questions ensure that the final decision feels earned. If the bachelorette picks someone at the end, the audience should feel like the show guided them logically toward that choice through meaningful responses. In short, Smart and real questions transform a dating segment from surface-level entertainment into a personality-driven experience. They reveal truth, create humor, build emotional depth, and guide the audience toward a satisfying final decision.